on Imo State, political development, the socio-economic development as well in that state. And to advance the conversation, we have the Secretary to the State Government, Honorable Uche Onyagocha. Good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
And the Special Advisor to the Governor on Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Uche Moneke. Good morning.
All right, we'll begin with you, Honorable Onyagocha. Before we go into the details of this interview, first of all, not a few persons will want you to clear the air on whether or not the incumbent governor, Ihedioha, ordered the arrest of former governor Rochas Okorocha.
Well, he has not ordered the arrest of former governor, Senator Talbot Okorocha. The only difference is that the people of Imo State are saying that the Senator Talbot Okorocha has to reduce the nuisance he's constituting in the state.
What do you mean exactly by nuisance?
Well, he is the senator representing Olu Zone, and is expected to be calling his constituency briefings in his own constituency, but he rather chooses to be having rallies in another senatorial zone.
There are reports also, I think from last week, on the Special Task Force on Asset Recovery, storming into the house of the former governor, Rochas Okorocha. And a lot of analysts have said that that is a sort of witch hunt.
That's not correct at all. There was no such incident. The recovery committee was on the other side of the road. The only difference is that the residence of Senator Talbot Okorocha in Spibat it's actually been identified as a place where cultists hang out. And all these cultists have been carrying out a lot of criminal activities, including assaulting people.
Can you confirm some of the videos that we have seen go viral about how some members of Okorocha family have been harassed and how some of his assets are allegedly being under watch, has come under watch by the state government and being investigated by the state government?
Well, the truth is that the government has set up a judicial panel of inquiry to recover a lot of lands of Imo people wrongfully taken over in the last administration. And the judicial panel of inquiry is starting its sitting any moment from now, and people have been making submissions. And we believe that people will use that means to recover a lot of what has been taken away from them wrongfully. Because for now, we know that in truth, Imo was a laughing stock in the last 8 years. Anytime you mention Imo, people will be laughing and be asking you whether you have been molded and all that kind of jokes. But now the people of Imo State have taken over their state and they are determined to move it forward.
We understand that this inquiry will start from the regime of Achiko Dewa down to the former governor, the Green governor, and Rochas Okorocha. But from the reports and the feelers we've been getting, it's basically more on Rochas. Why haven't we seen some assets being recovered from, the former governor Achiko Dewa and, of course, the governor after him?
If you may recall, Achiko Dewa joined in the campaign for Emeki Ihedioha. So why would Emeki Ihedioha extend it to his regime if there was any witch hunt intended? I thank you for even bringing that up. However, we are now focused on how we have to move our state forward. All these distractions are no longer things of interest to us because we are realizing that a lot of the roads we have are in a very bad shape, and the rural roads are now going to be constructed, about 380 kilometers of road that has been flagged up by the governor. Erosion is a major problem in the state, and we are not allowing all these issues to distract us.
You posit that all of this is a distraction to the state government. But the perception, perhaps some people outside of Imo State have, is that Okorocha, the issue of Okorocha or investigating Okorocha seem to be the major focus of the state governor at this time. Can you confirm that?
Oh, definitely not true, because if you notice, we have now chosen to go in the direction of TSA. This is the first time Imo State is moving in that direction to ensure that all these 201 accounts, which used to be the order of the day, is being streamlined, because we want to reduce corruption in the state, we want to introduce transparency. The local government administration is being allowed to flourish in the right direction. Workers are now being paid their salaries 100%. You can confirm that from the workers. We have started a very extensive verification of pensioners so that all the pensioners will be paid all their entitlement as at and when due. And if you may recall, Imo State, like I pointed out to you, is one of the states that has major erosion challenges. And erosion has eaten up a huge amount of our land. So all the counterpart funding we are required to do for the purpose of benefiting from donor agencies and other groups that are interested in helping us sort out the environmental problem, we have done that and we have flagged it up.
Is there a quarrel or a feud between the former governor and the incumbent governor?
Oh, certainly not. The Senator Telba Okorocha didn't run for governor in 2019. He ran for Senate. He has his issues with Senate. And one would expect that he should focus on his senatorial issues, while the governor is actually focusing on his the administration of the state. He wishes there is an issue. We are focused on our job, and the government of Emeka Ihedioha is determined to move forward. That's why we are focused on the things that affect Imo people directly, and means that we have to invite all Imo people wherever they are. And there are too many of them who are interested in investing in Imo State to come back to the state and invest. And many of them are coming. Today, Imo State, I want to tell you, is an investor's heaven. Everybody is coming back to invest in Imo.
Does it in any way worry you that, you know, we saw some group from the senatorial district of the former governor? Does it in any way worry you that the same people who lauded the projects done by the former governor are the same people coming to the incumbent governor asking for the prosecution of the former governor?
Well, I wish you have opportunity of visiting the hometown of Senator Telba Okorocha. He's from Obuku. Try to visit the place and see for yourself. The access road to his house has been eaten up into two by erosion. Right. Those are the things that are for him to explain to members of his constituency and the people of Imo, whom they told they spent a lot of state government money to fix such roads. How come they have been broken within less than 3 months after he left office? So we are determined now as an administration to ensure that any road built in Imo State will last at least a minimum of 20 years after it has been constructed. Okay, not to have a road and then the next year you have to start repairing.
Okay, let's quantify the work that needs to be done by the current administration. He did mention, Honorable did mention the, TSA and of course roads and erosion. How much of work is needed to be done in terms of erosion? Because I do know that Imo State has 27 local government areas. That's huge.
If you want to start quantifying, it will take a lot. Why I'm saying that is this. We're taking it as it comes. There's a lot of work to be done. We're bedeviled by flood situations. When we came in, when this administration came in, when it rains and it stays for like 5 minutes, the whole place will be fully flooded. But now we've taken up that challenge of solving the flood and the erosion problem to an extent. But looking at Owerri and its environs, His Excellency took his time to gather up professionals from every sector, every area. Architects, quantity surveyors, civil engineers, as the case may be. Then he got them together as a task force so they can come and proffer solutions, because it's not something you bring a consultant from somewhere to come and solve. So they stayed together. We had several meetings and were able to come up with solutions. Entraco is also trying to do a lot of work in desilting Owerri, because it has to do, Owerri is properly planned, right? And with that plan, we have the tunnels, we have the drainages, we have the manholes, the cross sections and everything to take care of. So we were able to get together, look at those things, get the land surveyors, try to track where there has been distortions on master plan, because there's actually an under area we need to face. So by the time we're done with that, we came up with a solution. We need to desilt Owerri entirely. The work Entraco has done so far, if you get to Bank Road now, if it rains, you wouldn't see the flood that much. So what we're doing is we had to get someone, we're still in the process. He would have to desilt the entire tunnels, the entire drainages leading to the tunnels and the cross sections, and make sure by the time he's done, it's supposed to take him like 3 months, and he should be starting by next week. By the time he's done, we wouldn't have any flood issues in Owerri Municipal, Owerri West, Owerri North, those surrounding areas. Then we would now move to the local governments and try to solve, because it's a ravaging issue. So we'll move to the local governments, we'll go and see what we can do in those areas.
All right, this distilling project you made mention of, the distilling project you made mention of on the Bank Road area, does that also cut across the road linking from the Imo Varsity through the Federal Medical Center?
All those are captured. All those are captured. So by the time it's done, we would have taken care of that.
All right, and briefly, what are the major gains this administration, has, achieved in 100 days?
I would say it's groundbreaking, because when you look at it holistically, they've done a lot. In road construction, there are 16 roads that we're looking at all at once, and they cut across the 3 senatorial zones. And those 3 senatorial zones, the kilometer we're looking at is about 300, a little above 300 kilometers. And if we're able to do that, it will do a lot, because the situation of roads in Imo State now is terrible. It's terrible.
Honorable, let's bring you in here. Talking about specifics now, within 100 days, can you quantify for us some of those projects that the governor has done in terms of perhaps physical and human resource development?
Thank you. Well, we have had an ICT training program on coding, which has been dedicated for women between the age of 16 and 35. In the last 100 days, about 230 of such women have been trained. And a good number of those who have gotten that training are already being engaged. In fact, by different people who are interested in hiring them for their services, because this is a real area of need. If you know Imo State very well, you know we have a large army of educated people who are looking for jobs. And our primary concern is to ensure that as many of such people are given opportunity to get jobs. And part of how you can ensure it is to look at that area through which you can create the enabling environment for many of them to get job opportunities. And ICT has been seen as one of them. The real target at the end of the day is that at least within the first 4 years of this administration, a minimum of 10,000 people will be trained in that direction of ICT. With special skills that will enable them qualify for jobs that they can get in any part of the world. Because with ICT, you can get a job anywhere in the world, irrespective of where you're based.
I'm kind of curious if Imo State has a comprehensive plan of action, maybe a blueprint, that any indigene or citizen living in Imo State can outrightly pick up and understand the agenda of the government in the next 4 years in terms of vision for the state?
Yes, of course, we do have. And that vision, our primary interest, like I was saying before you asked the question, is on job creation. And you cannot have any comprehensive project on job creation without industrialization. So we are already attracting a lot of people who are interested in investing in our agriculture. We are attracting a lot of people who are interested in investing in industries, especially in cement industry and in gypsum limestone areas, and in our palm oil industry. So most of these opportunities, when they take off, and a lot of them are already taken off, will create a lot of jobs in the state. And we believe that all this will not be possible unless we show integrity in governance, which integrity in governance would not be made possible unless we hold on to rule of law, because people must believe that they can get what is their due without having to know somebody in government or without having to lobby one way or the other. So there is need for that transparency. You can apply for a job in Imo State without having to know the governor or a member of House of Assembly and be able to get that job. That is happening as of today. People are getting promoted in positions without having to have any access to anybody in government.
What is the verifiable mechanism put in place by the state government that enables this to actually happen in the state, where people can secure jobs without necessarily knowing top-notch, government officials?
Thank you very much. Now, what we have done is to ensure, for a start, that every process of what we are doing is transparent. And there is accountability in each of the processes. That anybody, even non-Imo indigenes, can get jobs. So we go for the best, and the bidding processes will be open for every job available in the state. People can register.
Is there a digitized system in place?
It's not
which
about,
makes it very easy for people living in Imo State to apply for jobs and follow up.
We are following what the law requires us to do, which is to put in place the public procurement law in Imo State is fully in practice, so that the bidding process is going to be open, is going to be thorough, is going to be transparent for everybody to see. For example, we had to throw open the fact that we needed to regrass our main stadium, the Dananyam Stadium. It was thrown open to everybody who was interested, and at the end of the day, the person who won the contract, or the contractor being, is actually from Bayelsa State. And then when you look at our the Imo Grasshopper Stadium, which is a major stadium for handball, some other person who won it has nothing to do whatsoever with anybody in government.
When you mention transparent, what readily comes to mind is a digitized system where every indigene or citizen can access. So when you say transparent, I'm trying to get the core of that particular analogy you used.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying the process of registration, the process of application, the process of interviewing the people who are involved, and your capacity to do the job will all be put in public glare, and then it has to be very, very open.
All right, before we go or delve into infrastructure in the state, let's first of all see a clip on the vision of the incumbent governor of Imo State.
I was unfazed. I didn't receive handing over notes, in spite of all the noise that is being made. But I mean, government is a continuum. And I thought we should have been told this is where we are. But I wasn't surprised, because really things were done in breach of governance processes and procedure. We assembled a team which we consider still great team, about the best of hands of Imo extraction from different spheres of life. And we began to situate things properly. So we are restoring confidence in governance, which was lacking over the period. We set up various committees to identify what the issues were, where we are, and things we need to do to give us appropriate roadmap, in spite of the fact that we have set up a transitional technical committee that had done significant work. But we wanted to know, for instance, what is the status of pensioners in our state to enable us to deal with that. Now, where do we stand with the civil service? We set up a financial advisory committee to guide us, to say this is where we are. It was in the course of acting on the information and the report of the Financial Advisory Committee that we set up the Treasury Single Account, TSA, to once again enshrine transparency and accountability in ways of doing business in government. Now, government business, that means what TSM means was that, look, you have to centralize your account. The revenue base of the state is something that you can appreciate. You can know from where you are, and we said this is something we need to do. And I'm happy that we got the cooperation of our citizens, and we're proceeding with that. In that area, people are now beginning to understand that accountability is a way of life, as opposed to what it used to be. So we're looking at where we got it wrong as a state, and things that we need to do, things we must do immediately. In the area of education, we found a woman who was Minister of State Education in our state, in our country, who was Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then said, look, you have a good educational background. Let's assemble an educational team. We identified technical education as one area that we need to key into. And we set up a technical and vocational education team to work on how to revive and rehabilitate the 4 technical colleges that already we have in place, which has been existing, but albeit, existing, literally existing. So we've taken steps and we are rehabilitating.
Interesting
right.
points of views there raised by the governor. Good enough, we still have some officials from that state. The governor he harped on TSA. Perhaps I should ask the SSG. The governor harped on TSA and education. He has a vision, one of the vision of his administration. But let's take TSA as a specific example. Currently, we do know that the former governor is under investigation over 200 accounts that was opened for the state. How does the current government intend to streamline the revenue, process of the state into one account?
That has already been done. Every revenue generating stream is being designed alongside the MDAs to ensure that at the end of every day, all monies generated by them for the state are swept into a single account which is managed from the Board of Internal Revenue, so that you no longer need to have a situation where each ministry, each department, each parastatal is generating all their money and keeping, and then because of that, everybody opens all manner of accounts. So we have a situation now which is being digitalized, and it's been run, I think, through InterSwitch or thereabout. Okay. So at the end of every day, all revenues generated, be it 1 million, 300 million, will be swept off that account and put into the single treasury account, which is manned by the PIR, so that we know what we actually have, because we had a situation before now where you had IMSG, Imo State Governor's account, chieftaincy account, local government account, governor's wife's account, and all such manners of account.
All right, dovetailing from the question my colleague asked you, where we got on the National Daily some reports that the former governor, had about 260 bank accounts, and I understand that you worked in the previous administration, and here you are as the SSG of the current administration. When the governor talks about accountability, not a few persons will want to understand precisely what he means. Will the governor, begin to issue out quarterly reports showcasing how funds had been spent?
Yes, I think we need to explain to you a little bit of why there must be transparency in this administration for us to move forward. One of it is that when the Financial Advisory Committee was set up, led by Abraham Wanko, who was the former national DG of National Debt Management Office, it was found out that in a particular year, all the monies which was delivered to the governor by the former Accountant General cash, when added up in 1 year, cash was 119 billion naira. We felt that this is the height of abuse by any government, and our attitude is never again will any of such things be allowed to happen.
And that is why I'm asking if the present administration will begin to issue quarterly reports,
yes, of
showcasing
course,
how funds are being spent in the state.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
So when do we expect the first quarter reports?
Well, that is why we have the Auditor General in the state for local government. We have the Auditor General in the state for the state, and we expect them to do their job. They are independent. They were not appointed by this administration. The present Auditor General of the state was appointed by Senator Telbert Okorocha, and so also is the other Auditor General. We will allow them to do their job and bring out their audit report of the way our accounts have been managed, and they will be allowed to explain it.
How independent is the Auditor General of the state to be able to come up with this quarterly
because we can't
report?
even fire him.
Which
cannot wake up and fire the Attorney General like that.
So but who appoints the Auditor General?
And the fact that we didn't appoint the present serving Auditor General of the state shows you that we are not interested in meddling.
Okay. Now, we do know that a lot of, based on what you said, construction is underway. How many local governments will benefit from some of this construction, especially roads?
The 16 road projects that we have from the state would cut across the 3 senatorial zones. So those are the local governments involved. Then the ramp project will cut across 27 local governments. and it's massive. It's about 380.1 kilometer road project. So most of the roads in the rural areas will be affected and touched.
All right. We just before we let you go, I understand that the former administration opened up a lot of new roads, and many of which are in dilapidated states now. So what exactly is the government doing? Because some people have complained that some of the roads opened up on flood plains.
We're taking charge of that. That's why we have a monitoring unit that will be very effective. So we would monitor the roads. But when you talk about mapping them out, the ramp project that we're using now, it's a World Bank project through New Map. There would, the roads that they've mapped out are not on flood plains. So even the other ones will still take care of them because it's a state. Government is a continuum.
Of the roads mapped out, is the MCC Urata Road inclusive?
It's actually part of a state road mapped out, MCC Urata Toronto Road. It's passing through. We have 16 of them. One passing through Obinze, Nekede, Naze Road, then transcending. We have a lot of them. It's going to be massive. Actually, on the 4th of this month, the awards will go out. These roads will be awarded properly to contractors, and then we'll get on board.
And citizens could follow up on this.
We have actually
and await a quarterly report from the state government. Thank you so much.
We've actually asked the citizens to go on that. They will help us to monitor because it's their project. They should own it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Honorable Uche Onyegucha, and he's the secretary to the state government. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. And if you can help us tell the world that Imo State has the largest number of people who write JAMB every year, we have great opportunities of investment in education.
I'm sure
they are welcome to come to Imo
They must
State.
have heard you. Thank you so much. And the special advisor to the governor on monitoring and evaluation, Dr. Uche Moneke. Thank you. And all the best. Thank you for being a part of the show. We return again tomorrow with another edition of Kakaki, the African Voice. In the meantime, have a rewarding start of the week. I am Salamatu Ibrahim.
Well, I'm Chikod Naka. Remember that the conversation continues through our Twitter handle at Ait Kakaaki. See you again tomorrow.